Call this meeting to order. Mary, roll please.
Archer. Here. Myers.
Here.
Howard.
Here.
Redlin.
Here.
Showalter.
Here. Can we get a pledge of allegiance, please?
I had to think who the first one was.
Pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, thank you everybody for coming tonight. Mary, who will we have signed up for public comment? We've got the Alumni Association first.
Just the Alumni Association, is it?
Yep. Jessica?
Want me over there?
Yes, please.
I think you all know me. I'm here tonight on behalf of the Sherman County Alumni Association. As you know, we're having an all-school reunion on July 24th through the 26th. And so part of that is getting school spirit, town spirit up. And so we are here to ask if we can paint a cowboy logo on Main Street on the bricks. We have talked to the high school art club, and they will do it. So that's my request tonight. I don't know anything about paint. I don't know anything about what we need to do, but I'm just here to make the request.
I like the idea.
Do you know where, like where you're thinking?
Probably intersection of 11th or 12th is what we're thinking, one or the other.
What was the one that was already down painted? Was that Brington 11th and 12th?
I think,
Was it 11th?
yeah, I know Matt McKenzie would like to put something on the wall of his, what is it now? Can't think the antique store.
Eclectics?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
So maybe we'll put the cowboy down on 12th. I don't know, but somewhere. We want to paint the town black and gold, so.
Yeah.
I assume that's done at the expense of the Alumni Association, then you're not asking for anything from the city financially?
No expense, no. And we've painted bricks before. It does eventually wear off, but
Yeah,
I personally don't have an issue.
I like it.
Did you want to ask Kenton about any?
Ken, do you have any suggestions as far as paint or time? Any best practices?
Just curious, as long as we're not having to maintain it and keeping it up for the rest of the, next how many years?
well, if that's an option. No, it would wear off.
I assume you're wanting to do it probably as close to reunion as possible. or
Probably,
Maybe just some traffic barricades while they're doing the painting.
maybe, yeah, we would need that. But it would be the kids, the art club doing it, so. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Well, I'm here. Thank you for helping us water flowers again. City, we appreciate you guys doing that, so.
You're welcome.
Anything else you need me for?
I think that's it. I think we're good with it. Thank you.
Thanks.
Anybody else for public comment?
Absolutely no.
Okay, we have no proclamations or presentations, so we'll move on to the consent agendas, items A, B, C, and D. Item A is the 5/19/2025 commission meeting minutes. Item B is the 5/19/2025 joint county city commission meeting minutes. Item C is the 5/27 special commission work session minutes. And item D is appropriation ordinances 2025-11, 2025-11A, and 2025-P11. We have any questions or concerns on the consent agenda?
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda items A through D.
Have a motion by Commissioner Redlin.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Howard. Mary, roll please.
Howard.
Yes.
Redlin.
Yes.
Myers.
Yes.
Archer. Yes. Showalter.
Yes. Thank you, everybody. Move on to ordinances and resolutions. Item A, ordinance 1798, non-exclusive franchise agreement for the telecommunications systems with Idea Tech.
Okay.
Kent?
Mayor, members of the commission, Idea Tech has done this in several communities across Kansas. They seek and it's non-exclusive, it's just basically an additional choice. But it's having fiber to the home, or the ability to operate a fiber network, facilities that may provide data, telecommunications, broadband and related service to residents of the city. The ordinance would grant them a franchise to be able to use our right-of-way to reach their customers. And it has a certain fee associated with that. They also have a pole attachment agreement that is the standard pole attachment agreement that Dustin included with them. And I was expecting, but is not attended just yet. They were going to be able to attend electronically, but they haven't come to the go-to meeting as yet. So, but it's pretty standard franchise agreement. It's non-exclusive, so all other providers still are able to.
Did we want to wait until they came to the go-to meeting and then come back and vote on that later, or do we want to?
They were just really coming on the go-to meeting to be able to answer it if you guys had any questions. If there's no major questions involved, then you can go ahead and vote on the ordinance.
Everything contained within the commissioner packet was pretty straightforward. I don't know that I had any questions. Does anybody else have any questions?
I didn't have any either.
I just had one quick one. The areas that you have on here, Dodge City, Garden City, Liberal, they're kind of larger communities, so is this something that would benefit a smaller community like ours?
They've done it also in other smaller communities, but it's closer to they're in Beulah, they're in the central part of the state.
Okay.
So there's a number of smaller communities in that part of the state that they've done.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
I'll make a motion to approve ordinance 1798.
I have a motion by Commissioner Redlin,
Second?
second by Commissioner Artser. Mary, roll please.
Myers.
Yes.
Howard.
Yes.
Redlin.
Yes.
Archer.
Yes.
Showalter.
Yes. Thank you. Moving on to item B, resolution 2025-15A, resolution authorizing and providing for the calling of a special question election in the city of Goodland, Kansas, for the purpose of submitting to the electors of the city the question of imposing a 1/4% citywide general purpose retailer sales tax for various educational purposes for USD 352.
Bill Berman, the superintendent of schools, came and spoke to the commission a few months ago, describing that they would like to do this, and it's basically an extension of the current sales tax. Or once the current sales tax terminates, then this one would pick up and then continue until 2036. It's 1/4%. All the city's actions regarding this sales tax is acting as the agent, basically, because the school district can't put a sales tax directly on the ballot. So they asked the city it only be levied within the city for all general transactions that occur within the city. We had received the documents from Kevin Cowan, the bond attorney with Gilmore and Bell, and this resolution is as part of them, and it basically gives the authority to place the question on the ballot. That's all the city's authority is about, and then when it's collected, we basically do the same thing currently. The city collects the sales tax and then sends those monies to the school district.
And this is for the building of the new CTE building, right?
Right, the Career and Technical Education Building.
This is certainly, one of the things that has struck me over the last couple meetings that we've been able to talk about this is, I don't know, whether or not city voters would support an extenuation of the sales tax, but I think it's their right to see it on the ballot and make that decision for themselves. I think the school district will do their due diligence and making sure that all the information is out there so people can make an informed decision on whether or not, you know, they want to extend that sales tax or not. So I don't know that the city has a whole lot of skin in the game other than to say, you know, we're the gatekeepers, and I don't, you know, I think it's would be a beneficial project to the school district if they can get that done, and I think it's would be a sign of support on our behalf to allow that to be placed on the ballot. I don't know necessarily that I would have an issue voting yes in favor of that ordinance.
I agree.
I agree. I don't have a problem with it. I think it's a good idea. It's for the kids to get more education in that part of it rather than the school work part of it's a hands-on teaching facility. So I'm in favor of that facility, and I would probably vote yes for it too. And I'm in favor of putting it on the ballot and letting the people of Goodland decide.
Yeah, I agree. It should be left to the people, but as a citizen, I really look for some transparency. I feel like there's not been a lot of talk. I mean, we haven't seen him since November. I believe it was November 4th was the last time he was here. So I look forward to the transparency there, and I encourage the other citizens to do so as well.
He was at the last planning commission meeting. I did watch that. So he has been around, just not for this meeting, I guess.
Okay.
Or this group.
With that, I would make a motion to approve Resolution 2025-15.
I'll second.
Motion by myself, second by Commissioner Howard. Mary, roll please.
Archer,
Yes.
Redlin,
Yes.
Howard,
Yes.
Myers,
Yes.
Showalter.
Yes. Move on to formal actions. We'll start off with one that we don't have listed on the formal agenda. This is for a CMB license. And Susie, you'll have to tell me the name of the business. I don't have it written down here. What is?
So my legal name is JSC 816 Enterprises,
Okay.
with the Terrebonne, does business as Terrebonne.
Okay. Thank you. So this will be in reference to request for CMB license for JFC Enterprises. Okay.
Terrebonne, I'll call it Terrebonne.
Yeah.
Has applied for a cereal malt beverage license for consumption on the premise. Brian James has done the fire inspection and approved. Zach Hildebrand has done an initial inspection. Does have some things that need to be completed before it would be open.
Correct.
And the owner is aware of that. They are rushing to get everything ready for, you want to be able to start Friday, correct? So
Is our,
that's why the urgency regarding the request. But there's some staff put together this CCCF real quick, and it's just some minor items, a couple little larger items, but it's more about access, which always comes up as an issue regarding the CMB license on the premise, or for consumption on the premise. And since there'll be an outdoor area at this particular location, that's why it's of a particular issue. So, just want to make sure that those items are completed
Right.
before it is approved. And we have done that on other occasions. This body has gone ahead and approved the license pending Situation A or Situation B is approved before it is open. And the police department did complete the background check as well, and everything was okay. So all the normal checks regarding the CMB process were completed, so, or are in the process of completion. And I didn't know if the owner wanted to say anything more or not, so.
You want to tell us a little bit about your new opening?
so we are opening, so I don't know if you've noticed, but, when I moved to Goodland and we bought Terrebonne Hawaiian Shaved Ice and Coffee Company, I love the name of it, Terrebonne, and the Coomerals told me that it stemmed from, I think they said it was the Latin name for land of the good, so that's where, so when I bought it, I decided to keep the Terrebonne name. And so what I've actually done is kept the Terrebonne umbrella for all of my food entities. So we have Terrebonne Bakery Cafe, Terrebonne Coffee Bar, Terrebonne Fresh Market and Pantry, and then this will be Terrebonne Gathering Garden. And I just really kind of had I'm from Florida, and we have a lot of outdoor spaces and things like that. I know Goodland, Kansas is not ideal for year-round outdoor seating, but it is nice. We do have nice summers, nice falls. Our evenings are very, very nice here. And so I had this big space in the back, and I just kind of envisioned it to be a nice courtyard, kind of a beer garden feel. I've kind of had that desire to do that since I bought the building a year and a half ago. So anyways, and that was one of the driving forces for buying the old dry cleaner building, so I could own the whole property. If you haven't noticed, I put a lot of money into it. We've put artificial turf down, very nice artificial turf, that will last us many, many years. We've put a movie screen there so we can broadcast, play some of the games on Friday nights, or during we'll only be open on Friday and Saturday nights, but play some of the local sports games, the college, the high school, also do some movie nights, but also to rent the place out as a venue but of course everybody would like to have maybe a beer to go with. Our menu is going to be very casual. In Florida, I take pride in this. We won Best Burger of our county, so that's one thing that we've continued here is doing our burgers. We fresh grind them ourselves and season them and everything. And so we'll have burgers and brats and chicken fingers and a lot of our sandwiches that we have at the Bakery Cafe. But it's going to be a casual place where a nice beer would be good to have with your dinner and stuff like that. So anyways, that's what I'm asking for, is to be able to, I don't know that I even have the desire to do a liquor. It's more so just beer and malts and things like that. It's going to be very, very family friendly. We have lots of games and, everything from golf putting games to cornhole to horseshoes, all kinds of stuff, to just kind of be a nice community place for people to visit.
Great.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, I think, for your continued investment into the city of Goodland. We appreciate you.
Thank you.
Taking the time and the effort to open multiple businesses. Certainly appreciate that. And looks like a great space over there. I've driven by several times. Great place to go after a long city commission meeting even. So
Right.
appreciate your,
It was a Monday.
Yeah, thank you.
yeah. Anybody have any questions for Susie?
And the few things that I was, Zach, when he came today, I needed a no alcohol beyond this point signs. Those will be in tomorrow, thanks to Amazon. And then we're building, my son in Denver, he's a construction guy, and so he's actually building my gates. We're doing like barn door gates that'll open out. He's actually going to start building those tomorrow, so they should be installed by Friday. Maybe one other thing?
The lattice fence in the back and between the garage and the dry cleaner building, just to
Yes.
prevent access from going back behind there while they're in that location, or to prevent anybody from coming in that shouldn't be there. And then that brick wall.
Yes.
That needs shored up to put the grills and the fryers, I think.
Yes, yes, so we're gonna have like a little outdoor kitchen there. That old, my husband and I have had multiple fights over him he wanted to tear down that brick building, and I'm like, it's been here for a long time. So we kinda open it up, we're putting a new roof on it, they've been working on that today. And, cause I wanted to have kind of a smokehouse, something cool outside to cook outside and everything, so. But yes, so we're in the process. Everything, I don't want to serve alcohol until we're completely checked off. But
Sure.
I feel like we'll be ready by Thursday.
Sure.
So,
Well, I appreciate that. I think with all that information, I would make a motion to approve the C&B license for Terrebonne pending passing of the inspection to take place Thursday or Friday.
Second.
A motion by myself, second by Commissioner Redland. Mary, roll please.
Howard.
Yes.
Myers.
Yes.
Archer.
Yes.
Redlin.
Yes.
Showalter.
Yes. Thanks, Susie.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
it.
Thank you.
Susie.
Move on to, well, what was item A, now item B, the financial software system proposal.
She also has brick walls, just so you know.
So, we discussed previously our financial system and the problems we were having with it. As of the last time that we discussed it, we had only reviewed one vendor to purchase software from, and it was kind of half the price I thought it was going to be. But Shauna and I did, Shauna went and did due diligence in my absence and contacted 3 more software vendors, 2 of which did not reply, and then a third, which is the second bid in your packet, which was $30,000 more than Edmunds. Edmunds has, they've done 2 demos for us. They came out from New Jersey personally to meet with us and answer our questions. And then, in addition to the software that we're getting, everything with Zach will be automated. And right now, everything is manual. So that's a big plus too. We will have to purchase a time and attendance system, but that is something we are trying to find. The bare bones basics, the ones they've offered, are way too classy for me. I don't need all that stuff. So I want to find something that's efficient, what we need, and cost efficient. So, but I would recommend us going ahead and purchasing the software from Edmunds for fear something is going to happen with our current software system that we're currently dealing with. And it's in the amount of $77,750, I believe.
Does anybody have any questions for Mary?
We got a cost breakdown. I know this stuff is expensive. But
It is.
What makes it so expensive?
The clouds.
The clouds.
I actually was thinking the cost was going to be closer to $150,000 to $200,000.
Okay.
And that's kind of why I drug my feet.
Yeah.
When Shauna and I kept getting all those emails, it's like, Shauna, I just don't have $200,000 laying around. So when I went through my 6th onboarding person from this company, from my current company, that's when I finally decided we got to do something. We got to figure out something. Edmunds is willing to spread the cost over 2 or 3 years if we need to. I would rather bite the bullet and just do it, because every year you're going to have to do those, I can't remember what it's called, the subscription fee.
Yeah.
That is an annual fee. In Cassell's bid, they broke it out to a monthly, and that's why I added that $40,000 at the end of their bid. Because in order to compare apples to apples, you had to compare the annual cost to the annual cost, and they were just comparing the monthly cost.
Okay.
So that's what the difference, why I added that $40,000 onto theirs. But software is expensive. I don't care. They know you need it, and that's the change of the times, and you have to have it, so.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for your work going through the demos and making sure that it was what fit our needs. And
Well, I appreciate Shauna and my staff doing it. I'll be honest with you, it was when I was off. So she did a lot of legwork for me there.
That's great.
do we feel like their tech support is going to be good to work with?
I do. And I also feel like with the number of cities that they're gaining in Kansas, it's going to be a big support group. And like they will have a online support group with other cities that you can get on there and say, hey, I got this going on, can anybody help me?
Okay.
You know, so you not only have them, but you also have other users of it. But yes, I do. Right now, I'm still waiting on a call, probably 2 months in from my current software. I know how to deal with it, and so I just deal with it. But
So So with Edmunds, are there going to be any physical devices, any actual hardware that the city has, or is this all just
It's all software.
cloud-based?
It's all software. Excuse me, I'm sorry. They did quote 4, I don't know what they're called because I'm not techno, but they're the little things that you put your credit card into, or credit card on to, yeah, to do it. And I'm not sure we need 4 of them, and he said that could be flexible. So there are 4 of those in the bid, and if I don't need 4 of them, I'm not getting 4 of them. Right now, I don't have any of them, so. But, so that's the only hardware that I know of that we're buying.
Okay.
And we do have the ability to pull this from our budget?
Yes.
Yes.
We do have it from reserve funds. It wasn't specifically budgeted for, but we do have it in reserve funds.
Yeah.
Able to do it.
Any other questions for our city clerk?
I'll make a motion to approve the financial software system proposal from Edmunds for $77,000 and $77,750. There we go.
Second?
Have a motion by Commissioner Redmond and a second by Commissioner Artser.
Attempted motion.
Sean, roll please.
Okay.
Archer.
Yes.
Myers.
Yes.
Showalter.
Yes.
Howard.
Yes.
Redlin.
Yes.
Thank you, Mary. You want to stay for the charge-offs?
That's my second item.
All right.
Just as well doing both.
Item B, item C, utility, 2025 utility charge-offs. Mary?
Okay, these are our annual utility charge-offs that we bring to you every year. These are customers who are deceased, bankrupt. We've made the contacts required by AMS and set off. They are all submitted to both of those locations for collections. And even though you charge them off, they still try and go after them. We've gotten quite a bit this last couple of months from set off and people who are charged off. So keep in mind, just because they're charged off, that doesn't mean we don't try and collect on them.
This just helps clear your books for you.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that total is $16,922.80.
Is that about
What's that?
Is that about average?
It's down a little from last year.
That's good.
We're finding them going up more and more, unfortunately. I think it's a sign of the times. But I have had 32 and 36,000, so I was really glad to get a 16,000 this year.
Yeah.
And I will tell you that if they do come back, which we have caught some people, we do require them to pay it in order to get utilities hooked up, or we make payment arrangements.
Okay.
So,
So are all these utilities shut off?
yeah.
They are, okay.
Yeah, these are all people who have left and their utilities are off, yeah.
Now, there may be new people in the locations where they are.
But it's under a different name.
Yeah. Okay, okay.
Any other questions?
I'll
You go ahead.
move to approve the 2025 utility charge-offs in the amounts of $16,992.80.
Second.
A motion by Commissioner Howard, second by Commissioner Redmond. Shauna, roll please.
Yes. Showalter.
Yes.
Howard.
Yes.
Redlin.
Yes.
Archer.
Yes.
Thank you, Mary.
Thanks, man.
Move on to discussion items. Item A, the Midwest Municipal Solutions Report on Power Supply Contract Proposals.
Thank you for having me here tonight and for the opportunity to look at the power supply proposals from Sunflower Electric, Prairie Land Electric, and the Kansas Municipal Energy Agency. Before I start, I go to the next page, I just wanted to point out that this morning I received an email from Mr. Linville, the CEO of Sunflower Electric Power Corporation, and he was concerned that the report was biased towards KMEA based on my prior affiliation, 35 years in public service, 27 in municipal government, 12 as the city manager for Russell. 6 of those years I was the president of KMEA. That relationship ended when I retired last year. Since then, I have no affiliation with KMEA. During that same 12-year period, we also had a relationship with Sunflower Electric and Western, who has the transformer and our local access charge. So there's a relationship there. But to be fair, I did tell Mr. Linville that I would add a slide that talks about his concerns. One of those is perceived bias towards KMEA. Based on my prior affiliation, like I just said, I have no allegiance to KMEA or Sunflower. For this incident here, I work for the city of Goodland, nobody else. The omission of a 2024 comparison using SEP's or Sunflower's proposal, I did acknowledge that to Mr. Linville. That was not included, but that section, the 2024 comparison, was not the monetary. It was, the purpose was the impact of the structure of the agreements and the risk allocation. Could it have been left out? It could have. One of the things that in my time as a city manager and previous, whenever we're talking about something new or looking at something, you always like to look at the history of things. And one of the things that I wanted to look at was the history. How does that structure look back in 2024? The third thing was Mr. Linville stated I mischaracterized Sunflower's market risk and resource diversity. That analysis reflects contractual, not system-level risk exposure. Uneven application of stress testing. He is accurate. I only did a stress test on Sunflower's ECA. Mr. Linville said that they projected a 2.2 cent per kilowatt hour ECA. And so when you do stress testing, what happens if the energy prices, fuel prices go up, market prices? So I did a 33 cent per kilowatt hour. The stress test is not to say this one's better than that one. It's to illustrate the structural differences and not favoritism. It really shows a hypothetical situation that if Sunflower's financial position changed and they could no longer sustain a 2.2 cent per kilowatt hour ECA, for example, if there was a capacity deficit or fuel price jumped drastically or market prices jumped drastically, what would that look like? And you'll see at the end of the report that I recommend further stress test analysis under multiple scenarios. So this is not a one-all be-all. This is just a hypothetical of what it would look like. Undervaluing the AARs and TCR benefits in Sunflower's proposal. The report, the distinction between that is not the dollar amount, it's the governance. Local control versus a pooled management structure for the AARs and TCRs. The omission of Sunflower's renewable and generation flexibility. I did acknowledge that in section 5.7 of their proposal, it does allow the city to integrate local renewable projects. You can do that if you give Sunflower 1 year's notice. And then if you move forward with it, the renewable energy credits you can keep as a city. And then any capacity that you gain from that renewable project benefits Sunflower. Also, the Article 5.2, it does prohibit the city from running your accredited generation in lieu of taking firm energy from Prairie Land, except during emergencies. And that is when there is insufficient energy at the interconnect to serve Goodland's demand. That would be one way, and the other is for maintenance purposes. And then insufficient scrutiny of KMEA's capacity risk, which I'll address later in the proposal. As I mentioned before, if you go to the next one, whenever looking at something, I always like looking at the history of a community or a project. Goodland's been a public power community since 1949. It was established under Mayor George Kelly's leadership to ensure reliable, affordable, and locally governed power. Community benefits, you can see there. Affordable power, reliable service, revenue reinvestment, and local jobs. The understanding public power, a lot of people don't realize what that is. You may drive around Kansas or other states and you'll see signs that say a public power community. That just means that that community owns and operates its own electric utility. The key benefits are local control, affordable rates, reliable service, community investment, and transparency. 1 in 6 electricity customers in Kansas are served by public power. The average size of a public power community is about 832. The The current power supply agreement with Sunflower, it's a wholesale power supply agreement and Prairie Land Electric. The contract is structured as a bundled full requirements contract. What that means is they provide the energy, capacity, and transmission in a single contract and billing structure. It has demand and energy charges. Currently, you pay your demand based on your peak load, and you pay energy charges on Sunflower's Western Kansas Municipal Tariff, or WHM tariff. You do have market exposure, subject to the ECA adjustment, and that's based on the Southwest Power Pool's market volatility. You receive a capacity credit for your generation. Currently, that's $31,775. And you are currently paying Prairie Land a 1/2 of 1 cent per kilowatt hour, or approximately $225,000 in 2024, to acknowledge its role as the city's cooperative point of contact and grant you access to capital credits. Key financial metrics. In the report, I show that from January 24 to December 24, the average cost to Goodland was 5.6 cents per kilowatt hour. I had some additional information come in, so if you look from January of 24 to March of 25, that cost has gone down to 5.3 cents a kilowatt hour. You do have two proposals, one from Sunflower and Prairie Land, and the other from KMEA through its Energy Management Project number 2. Each offers the city distinct trade-offs in cost, flexibility, governance, and risk exposure, and you will do fine under either one. It's just a matter of what you want for the future of the city. Sunflowers and Prairie Lands is a discounted full requirements contract. It has fixed energy pricing of 1.5 cents for the first 2 years, 1.8 cents for the third year, and then 2.1 cents per kilowatt hour in years 4 and 5. They take away the demand charges. That's a huge savings for you. And they will also increase your capacity payment to $3 kilowatt hour or kilowatt, and that's about $44,100 a month credit to you. The use of your local generation is limited to emergencies, like I explained before. You cannot use it in lieu of taking firm energy from Prairie Land, and you have to have prior approval from Sunflower. They did have an option 2 in their agreement that I did not model, and that does allow you to more access to operate your generation, but there was not enough data in the proposal to model that. And again, that's why at the end of the report, you'll see that there's a lot of extra due diligence that should be done. If that is a key point for the city, that no, we want to operate our generation, that's something you can explore under option 2 that Sunflower has presented. Currently, there is no governance role for Goodland in Sunflower Electric or Prairie Land Electric, and Sunflower has the lowest model cost if the ECA, as they project at 2.2 cents per kilowatt hour, averages that for the 5 years of the term. On the other hand, you have Kansas Municipal Energy Agency. It's an unbundled supply. It's a diverse mix of solar, WAPA, fixed energy blocks, and then SPP market. I should go back and state that Sunflower's proposal also has WAPA and solar, because those are products that you already have. You already have WAPA and you'll be having solar coming online. So both of those use that. You do have direct access to ARs and TCRs for congestion cost hedging. I'll get into that in a little bit. You have full dispatch control of city generation, voting rights on EMP2, and the KMEA Board of Directors. There's lower volatility with potential for long-term savings. And if you have your report with you, that begins when I do those comparisons on page 9. And then on table 2, which is I believe on page 11, page 10, will show you what that looks like with the 2.2 cent per kilowatt hour that Sunflower has projected as their ECA. You can see there that the price in 27, with all things being the same, would be 4.4 cents, then it goes to 4.5, 4.8, 5.2, and then 5.3. Under KMEAs, it starts off higher at 5.6, 5.68, 5.7, 5.86, and 5.95. Then scenario 2 is the stress test that I talked about, where you change that ECA to 3 cents. And again, that is to illustrate potential implications if the ECA were to adjust, whether that's because of capacity deficiency or deficits, higher fuel prices, market prices. We all remember what happened back in 2019 when prices were $200 to $500 a megawatt hour for a while. So table 3 on page 11 shows with that 3 cent ECA that those costs for sunflower jump to 5.1, 5.2, 5.5, 5.8, and 5.9. They have a lower energy price than KMEA, and that transition or that crossover begins in 2030 and then 2031. There is some unmodeled value under the KMEA proposal, which is participation in the TCR and ARR market, which could generate between $60,000 and about $200,000 a year for the city of Goodland, based on your load and historical TCR AR auctions, what those brought in. What that means is you could see about 1/10 of 1 cent to 4/10 of 1 cent reduction in those prices. So on table 4 on page 12, I show you what KMEA's adjusted cost would be with that using a mid-range or $130,000 a year in TCR AR credit, which is about 2/10 of a cent off of your energy cost. I think the important one, and again, these are all models based on assumptions. I use the same amount of energy. Table 5, which is a scenario comparison, you've got sunflower with the 2.2 cent ECA would be a 5-year cost of about $12.7 million or 4.86 cents a kilowatt hour. If that ECA were to average 3 cents, that cost goes to $14.3 million over 5 years or 5.5 cents. KMEA's base proposal, without factoring in any TCR AR credit, is $13.9 million or about 5.76 per kilowatt hour. If you factor in that 2/10 or 2.5 of a cent credit, that 5-year cost for KMEA is 13.3 or 5.5 cents. The next slide just shows the average. These are average costs based on those numbers I just showed you, where you have the sunflower's proposal, then sunflower's proposal with the stress ECA, KMEA's base proposal, and then KMEA with a TCR credit. And you can see those on pages 10, 11, and 12 of the report. The next one is TCR and AR participation in market exposure. There's a section in there that describes what those are and how they're used. But overall, auction revenue rights give rights to receive revenue from congestion, and transmission congestion rights offset higher prices caused by congestion. Sunflower uses ACEs to maximize the value to their AR and TCRs, which is on page 17, and they average $1.30 to $4 per megawatt hour annually. That was between 2019 and year-to-date 2025. When I received that information from Mr. Linville last week. Again, the distinction here is not in value because the ECA fluctuates, so many things can change that, but what the distinction is local control versus pooled management. The operational flexibility that I talk about in the report, you have 15 megawatts of generation, a power plant that you've had for 75 years. Under this discounted full requirements proposal, the use of those generators will be restricted to emergencies, which is defined as Prairie Land is unable to serve your demand at the interconnect point. So you wouldn't be able to use them if prices spiked to $200 an hour for half a day. If you look at Southwest Power Pool, they've got a live, well, it's 5 minutes behind, but you can see how those prices spike, and there's been times in the last week where it's spiked over $500. But you don't see that, on your bill. It's smooths out. But during long-term events, you can see those prices stay there for a long time. And people may decide to run their generators to offset those costs. Option 2, like I mentioned, is not modeled. There's not enough data, but that's something that can be looked at in the enhanced due diligence. Under KMEA's proposal, there's full control of its generation, which would enable strategic operation to reduce exposure to high-cost market events. The long-term considerations, the Kansas Corporation Commission issued a report in 2025 that talked about capacity deficits. I did put in the report what the cooperative capacity deficits are. And I believe it's 2033 when there's an about 11 megawatt deficit. Mr. Linville told me that that's not what Sunflower projects for them. So this report in here is all cooperatives in Kansas. I did not address the capacity deficiency in that report for municipal utilities. I didn't do it for one reason is if a city, another public power entity in Kansas becomes capacity deficient, it doesn't affect your contract. But if a cooperative or Sunflower or Prairie Land becomes capacity deficient, that's going to affect your contract. It's 2023, KCC says that all cooperatives would have a surplus of 83 megawatts, 28 it shrinks to 11, and then 45 megawatts deficient in 2033. The forecasts reflect tightening reserve margins in the region due to increased demand and updated planning reserve margins. Again, Mr. Linville says that's not what they project for their cooperative. This here does not project the potential 7 megawatt of load growth for the city should your economic development project come to fruition. So there's some unknowns and mounting assumptions in this report. First, the future ECA levels are not guaranteed. Sunflower projected a 2.2 cent per kilowatt hour ECA. I modeled that plus a stress test of 3 cents. The revenue estimates for KMEA, I estimated at 1/10 of 1 cent per kilowatt hour or 4/10 of 1 cent. Solar energy at approximately 9% and WAPA at 6% of your portfolio are included in all the scenarios. And market price and solar and WAPA output impact your cost projections. Mr. Linville did tell me that from 2019 to year-to-date 2025, it's about $1.30 to $4 per megawatt hour that their ECA provided to their customers when it's pulled together. When you take that as $4 per megawatt hour and convert that to kilowatt hours, it's 4 cents, which would be about the same, 4/10 of a cent, which would be the same of what I modeled for KMEA. So that just happened by happenstance that he said it's $1.30 something to $4 per megawatt hour. I used $1 to $4 per megawatt hour in estimating what that benefit would be for KMEA. So I know it's a lot of pages, 40 pages, and I went through it pretty fast. Both of those proposals are distinct advantages and trade-off. Sunflower emphasizes simplicity, familiarity, and lower projected costs under favorable marketing conditions. KMEA offers broader operational flexibility, increased governance participation, and access to potential cost savings through market tools and local generation management. However, to support a fully informed decision, the city may wish to conduct additional sensitivity analysis, legal review, and scenario testing before finalizing its strategy. The sensitivity analysis should model the impact of key variables. The stress test scenarios should simulate multivariable adverse conditions, should evaluate the cost exposure under the discounted full requirement structure. I believe you would be the 5th city in that structure. What would be the implications of covering your share if there were future capacity obligations? And then legal and contractual review, just to make sure that all risk and responsibilities are clearly identified for the city before you make a decision. And I'll stand for any questions.
John, first of all, I guess I'd start by saying I appreciate all your work on this. It's obvious that you spent a great deal of time working through that for us. I would point out, I think, I've had a chance to look through Sunflower's response here that they sent you. Pretty pointed there at the end, but I would point out too that we came looking for you. You didn't come to us looking to make a proposal or make a recommendation. I think I know the answer to this, but I'm gonna ask you anyway, just so it's out there. You don't receive any compensation from either any of these companies based on who we choose to go with?
No, sir.
Okay.
No, since I retired September 1st, I don't interact professionally with them whatsoever.
Okay. I appreciate that. I'm pretty sure I knew the answer to that, but I want to make sure we got that out here. You definitely have given us a lot of information to go over. That's one of the reasons why, when Kent and I had a chance to talk, that, we felt like we needed to bring in somebody who was not involved with any of the companies and not involved with us, that could give us an evaluation to help us make that decision, because quite frankly, this is above some of our heads, at least mine for sure.
Yeah.
So we wanted a chance to have somebody else take a look at that, so we appreciate that. I don't know that I have any questions right now, because there's still a lot of information to go over. Does anybody else have any questions?
There was one thing that stuck out to me, and that was the in case of emergencies, a situation for Sunflower. And you had stated that it would be if Sunflower is unable to serve the community is when an emergency would be considered.
Yeah, it lists in, I believe it's section 5.7, and it states in there that you are not allowed to run your accredited generation in lieu of taking firm energy from Prairie Land, except in an emergency. And then it has little I and two little I's, but one of them is if Prairie Land cannot provide the amount of energy you need at the interconnection point to serve your load or your demand, that would be an emergency. Then you could operate, or for maintenance.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
I was telling Kent earlier today, I said, I'd be interested to see what Sunflower's response is to the report you provided. And when I got here, there was a response. So, Commissioners, do you have any other questions for John? I'm sure we'll be in touch with him if we have anything else. Kent, do you have anything for him?
Not at this time, no.
Okay.
The thorough report, I do think it lays a foundation for what we were trying to grasp, as far as what staff put together to try to make something apples to apples, because we had two different proposals. And it goes to two different ways of governing how it operates.
Yeah.
It's the business models that are significantly different. So John has put quite a bit of information here that allows you to compare that in layman's terms, not in the terms of the contractual language. So I do appreciate the report, and it has caused staff as well as myself to go through a number of questions as well, just to make sure understanding completely what John is trying to put across. But I think it provides a foundation. It doesn't mean that it's the end of what information needs to be gathered in order for you to make your decision. But I think it was well worth it to have John produce this report on the two different proposals.
Well said, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
John, thank you for your work. Thank you.
Mayor Showalter,
Yes.
can I request a quick 2-minute recess? Is that something I can do?
Sure.
Sure, okay.
And you better take
Take
a vote
a
on
2-minute
it.
break.
Okay.
We gotta take a
We'll take a vote on that.
Yeah.
I would make a motion to take a 5-minute recess.
I'll make that motion.
Got a motion by, second by Brooke. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, we'll take a 5-minute recess.
Right.
And then
Gordon, you
bright
ready?
and sunny, yeah.
All right, call this meeting back to order. We'll go ahead and continue with the discussions items under A. I know we've got some representatives from Sunflower here. I was going to offer you guys the floor if somebody wanted to speak, or if you wanted to maybe take some time to come up with the more formal response and then come back at a later meeting. Totally up to you, but if you want Sure, absolutely, go ahead.
We did document most of our concerns in the written letter, and I appreciate you taking a look at that. In the end, we want the city to make the right decision to meet your goals and objectives. We just want to make sure that you have the best, most accurate information to allow you to make that decision. To that end, Sunflower is willing to pay for an outside consultant to come in and to complete the additional analysis that John talked about, as long as the city, Sunflower, and KMEA agree on who does that analysis. Again, we want to give you guys the best information that you guys can have to make that decision. We feel that some of the information in the report is documented is not necessarily the best information that could be provided to make that decision. So just something for you to consider if you want to pursue that. We're willing to pay for that analysis, an outside consultant to do that additional sensitivity and stress test analysis. So.
Okay. Certainly appreciate the offer and appreciate you guys being here tonight. I mean, you guys know this is an extremely difficult decision for us. We're talking about a lot of money here, and it means a lot to the city moving forward what decision we make here, so it's not one that we take lightly, and we appreciate you stepping up to the plate and making that offer.
Sure.
So we will be in touch.
And any questions in the interim, you guys have my contact information. You can reach out at any time. We're happy to answer questions or provide additional information.
Great.
So.
Does anybody have any questions for this gentleman here?
I do not.
Okay. Thank you, guys.
Thanks for that,
Appreciate
too.
it. Does anybody else have anything further on the power contract? Okay. Move on to item B, the school request for one-way street on Cherry from 12th to 13th. Kent, do you want to preface that, or you just want to turn it straight over to Mr. Bierman and his whistle?
Probably not the whistle.
He didn't say he was coming with his whistle tonight, so.
Makes me nervous. Girls basketball players nervous over the years, too.
This was just as part of the discussion regarding the sales tax ballot question. As part of that, there's been a discussion. When Bill was here back in November, he discussed the possibility of making the street possibly one-way between 12th and 13th on Cherry Avenue. And as part of that, we wanted to get Bill to make a presentation to the Planning Commission so they could have another group to look at it, basically, and provide a recommendation to you for it. He did come to the Planning Commission meeting here a couple weeks ago and presented that. They discussed it, and they made a recommendation that it would be appropriate for them to do that if the city commission agreed. And but Bill I'm glad he's here. He can probably go over what is the basic reasoning regarding the one-way street, and also that part of it is, like you mentioned at the Planning Commission meeting, there's interest in it whether or not the sales tax question succeeds. So,
All said, I don't know what else questions you guys would have that I didn't go over in November. I don't think a whole lot's changed.
No.
I would echo that. I think, all the sales tax questions for you guys to do is put it on the ballot. We don't know what's going to happen in November. So whatever happens in November happens. If it's successful, we go one way. If it's fails, I think we would still look at how we could turn it into a one-way. But right now, as it is, the current project design is constructed with it being a one-way. So
Yeah.
that's where we're at with it. But I think through discussions with you and as we've talked about this, kind of consensus has built in other community groups. Well, why wouldn't we do that anyway? Which I agree with. But I think before we do anything, we'll run this thing in November, see what happens, and then we'll decide on that.
Has there been any interaction with the two property owners there? Because I know the city owns the one house, but there's 2 other houses on
The
that
school
lot.
district owns one now.
Yeah,
So currently, there's 2 house residents, we have the third.
third, right.
That would be Devlin and not part of it. I've talked to Gary Slough on the corner years back about doing it, and certainly Gary was a former board member and supportive at the time. The one in between has changed ownership a little bit in recent years. I have not personally gone to them and asked them what their thoughts are. I told the planning commission, you know, if it comes down to that, to be honest with you, there's other people impacted up and down the street. Where do you stop?
Yeah.
Asking people, right? I mean, 2 blocks north of it, people would potentially be impacted. Maybe that's their route to home every day, or south, vice versa. So now they directly sit on the street, so I get why the question is raised. But I have not, besides a discussion with Gary Slough about it.
Yeah, I watched the planning commission meeting, and they had brought up, like, informing the neighbors or something, that was gonna change. Is that something we would do if we approved this?
I think that would need to be a part of it, yes. And invite feedback from people who haven't heard of it yet.
Yeah.
Obviously, once it becomes more well-known, I think we'll have some additional feedback. We've had some initial feedback where it's been fairly positive, so.
And if we had the police department, like, say this is cool, you know?
Well, police department.
I didn't hear, I'm listening to the weather that's coming out on the radio, I didn't hear the question.
Have you evaluated the one-way street and Cherry and decided it's something that would work well with you guys' job?
I feel like if we're asking for this to start at the beginning of the school year. Correct.
We would not be looking to do it at the beginning of school.
Change the discussion.
Because we'll wait till November to see what happens during the election.
So prior to the building of your.
Tech building.
Okay, so that's when you would implement that?
Yeah, that's not until the plan right now is if it passes in November, we'd get started 1st of February with the goal of starting kids in the building, having everything in place by August of 2026. That's when we'd look to do it on a successful vote.
Okay.
So it'd be the following year.
Yeah, I mean, if you started it now, prior to that, there'd be some major bottlenecking. I don't think that would be a good idea, but if that passes, and they, you know, the way that he showed us in November, I believe it was, the plans look good to me. I mean, I don't think it'd be any issues. But, yeah, I mean, as of right now, it'd be some bottlenecking issues, but if that goes through, I think it's a great idea.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I don't have any further questions, I guess. I feel like it's a decision made in the best interest of the kids, and that's the only thing that I'm going to use as my criteria to vote when we decide we're going to have an ordinance that we want to take a look at, so.
Yeah, I think I agree to the safety aspect of it. I'm just curious about, like, financials. Well, like, I know, because you're wanting to, like, build it out in a way to where it's more secure, I guess is the best term. Where are those funds going to be coming from?
Well,
Do you have an idea?
That's the city sales tax. So like when we did the first project,
Okay.
there was proceeds that went to the city to help offset some of the cost of their things that they had to do. The city had to put into, at North and at West, even at the high school, a electrical transformer. Those costs were paid through the city sales tax fund that came to you. So it'd be the same this way. So we're not asking you to incur additional cost.
Sorry.
That's where those would come from. Thank you. Yeah.
So is this something we want to table kind of until November till we know what the vote looks like?
Yeah, I mean,
Yes.
what we're just asking for tonight was just staff direction or see what questions were
Okay.
regarding the project. There would be an actual resolution obviously don't have that prepared.
Okay.
So there's nothing formal to vote on tonight. It was more just seeing what the council consensus is regarding it, and what additional steps staff should take before preparing a resolution for possible approval.
What I don't want to do, like, I've been doing some presentations, but we're kind of on pause a little bit right now. Through the summer, I talked to our Board of Education about, once school starts, we'll really be ramping up the communication, getting information out through the month of September. I don't want to be in a packed full auditorium, showing pictures and what's it gonna look like and discussing it. And then somebody say, well, have you asked permission from the city to put the one-way you're talking about? Like, I want to know that that's gonna be there. Okay?
Sure.
That's all I'm kind of asking for.
So would you feel more comfortable if we had a resolution in place prior to the vote or prior to more meetings then?
I guess kind of.
Yeah.
Now, if you guys want to make that contingent on, you can certainly do that, right? You can make some type of resolution contingent on the successful whatever. Bond passing in November. That would be one way if you wanted to. As I already said, I'll kind of talk now, Ken, sorry.
That's all right.
If it would fail, I think there's a pretty good amount of support. I'd probably be bringing another proposal back to you. Hey, yeah, we're not gonna end up doing that, but we would certainly still like to turn this on one way. Here's what it looked like, here's what the cost would be, et cetera. But we can cross that bridge later.
Well, Kent, maybe we can start working on a resolution to have it ready, and then at some point this summer, we can take a look at it and get that voted in, so.
Yep.
I think consensus is everybody's in favor of it, so.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
Sorry.
We might have a question or two to the public as well, just to invite any feedback or any, if there's any negative feedback, then what's the reason why? And we try to be able to answer that, so.
Didn't Mr. Kling, didn't he have some hesitancies as well? Were those addressed, or does he still have those?
His hesitancy was before the building would be there.
Mhm.
And then he also had, and I don't want to speak for him.
Oh, I know. I was just,
Whether could be just discussed regarding the street. If it's just, a drop-off area or for people to attend the school itself, doesn't need to have through traffic at all, but that would be even more restrictive than just a one-way, so.
Objection, hearsay.
Sustained.
All right, well, I think, sounds like we're generally in favor of it, so we'll put together a resolution and give the public time to comment if they want to, so appreciate all your work on it, Bill.
Sounds great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll move on to item C, the 8th Street cost estimates from Andrew Bruner.
Hey, Mayor, real quick, for those in the audience, you've got a pretty significant storm coming, so you guys are stuck, but anybody else.
we'll just recess.
Yeah, we'll just recess.
Andrew, where have you been hiding this whole time? I know you were
Yeah, I was staying out of the way.
Well, welcome to the podium.
I believe I sent the cost estimate to Kent. Do all of you have a copy of that? Just kind of what the most recent estimate is and where that came in at, just so you know. I've been working with Mary and keeping on and off with her with how the sales tax is coming in and how everything's generating and the income you guys are receiving from that. And so spread out over the 20-year lifespan of that. Right now we're sitting at about, my estimate's sitting at about 90% of what that total overall estimate would be. So if things were to stay on the average that they are now. So Dustin helped me out, thankfully. getting into contact with some people as far as decorative lighting, industrial lighting. I don't think that's a decision that has to be made today necessarily. It's just, is that something we want to include as part of the project? I've talked to Kent. I think it's something you guys would, and just add it like we've talked about it as an alternate or an additive bid.
Oh my goodness.
Hey, fun, all right.
A breeze.
So,
Look how dusty it is.
I guess with that, do you guys have any questions about the estimate, anything that you see in there? You know, we talked about the water line. Neil's got that one block of water line that we'll want to move out from underneath the street. The lighting, and then, yeah, just updated quantities basically is what was done there. So, yeah. I guess we're just looking for some direction as far as if you guys see anything else that you'd like changed, or I think we're sitting in a good spot for what you guys requested, so.
I don't like these windows.
I guess I don't think I have anything. Just thank you, Andrew, for the due diligence that you've been working on this. Appreciate it.
Well, I don't mean to interrupt Stormwatch, but do we have any idea on what timeline could be?
So kind of the next step is, I think if you guys are okay with this, Kent, I believe, will go to the bond attorney, counsel. Sorry, I won't speak for you. Go ahead.
Basic next step, if this estimate will work for you. And his question regarding that, we put in the decorative lighting that's currently on the path next to Pioneer Park and the easel. It's that type of lighting instead of the lighting that's along Highway 24.
Mhm.
That's the difference between the two types of lighting. If this estimate is good, then I can take that estimate to the bond council and then bring back to you, because in order to do the project, the entire project, we obviously need bond proceeds to be able to do so. That's the basic question. Can staff go ahead and contact bond council to start working on those documents to put that together? And then there's going to be a question, you know, do we do the entire project at once, or do we split it up in 2 or 3 parts? So.
And I've talked to Kent about that. Obviously, it's your guys' decision, but one thing to take into consideration is if we do break it up, just know that, I guess last time I was driving on 8th Street, I was like this. Over in front of Wheat Ridge, just know that there would be some interesting transitions, because obviously the plan is to drop the crown grade of that road substantially. So that part of it would get interesting if we were to kind of piece things together. But
Well, and then there would be more mobilization fees back to get them back, the companies back, so it'd cost us more money.
there would, and the growing inflation catching up with that. So.
Guess I'm of the mind, get it done in one fell swoop, but that's just me.
And it's like Kent said, it's not to say we couldn't get into the project and break out the K-27 tie-in, or even the other side of Caldwell, separate things out. Obviously, things will have to be phased. We'll have to get into some deep discussions. Yeah, exactly, yeah. We'll have to get into some good discussions about how things are going to be broken apart or phased. That way we're not eliminating, everybody's access.
Yep.
So.
Any other questions for Andrew?
Do you have anything else you need from us?
Nope, just direction that Kent asked for. So.
Staff direction, can I go ahead and contact Kevin to start?
I say yes.
I'm in favor.
Yeah.
Staff is directed.
Thank you.
So yeah, depending on what that process takes, I'll come back and we'll set up a schedule as far as what we think survey
What we're
design and
looking
all
to do
that
is
that's going to take.
Bid it over the winter and then have construction next year.
Is the hope.
Okay.
So.
Great.
All right. Thanks.
Thank you. All right, we'll move on to reports. Mr. City Manager.
Probably the only report that's important is Zach's report on the demolition updates.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Due to the tornado that happened in Grinnell, S&M asked if they could pull their equipment off of the job for a few days to go help the town clean up, so I said that was okay. They did meet their deadline still, and it was demoed. They have a few more loads of dirt to bring in to actually level out the property, so it's a little behind the 20 days, but that's because I allowed them to go to Grinnell to help clean up.
Not an issue.
What about the one tree that's left there?
The one tree, it sits on the property line, and I haven't gotten permission from the other guy. When they sit on the property line like that, I always try to get permission from the other owner just because it could be a potential issue of, well, that was my tree and you cut it down.
Sure.
302 West 15th. It would have been 2 days after Mikey started tearing the siding off and had the trees cut down. The owner apparently showed up into town, was upset that we were tearing down his house. He informed us that his attorney would be contacting us. I have not received any communication. Jake hasn't received anything, and neither has Kent. So we are going to move forward with the process as of now. 1004 Kansas, they did get approved for the grant. Rippy came and pulled the permit for the demo. He said it may be just a little bit longer than the deadline that we gave them of the 20th of June, but it'll still be shortly after that because they have to meet that 90-day period of when they were awarded to actually receive that money. So it may be a little bit further than what we anticipated, but at least it's still going to happen.
Any questions on any of the demolitions? The only other thing on here that's important is some information from you guys. Set date to have continue the work session, or the planning session.
Can we do it after our next meeting?
If you want, sure. And we can just, well, you could set a date now, that week of that meeting, if it's going to be later than that.
16th.
We can wait till the 16th meeting.
Okay.
Sixteenth works for me.
Okay.
After our regular meeting, after a continuation.
Yeah, I should be awake. Okay.
That's right.
I should be awake.
Mary, does that work with your schedule?
Since when do I matter?
You matter all the time, Mary.
It's not my Wednesday.
Okay.
The other thing, I have received one partial application. I've received an application for a planning commission. There are some additional questions we asked the planning commission candidates to try to bring out, because it is an important position. It's a little bit different than the other boards. It actually has statutory authority on the planning commission. So just want to let you know, we've received one person. Would encourage the public, if there's anybody else interested in the position, to make sure they come in and apply, let us know so that we can get it included in the discussion.
And then there's no forum on the 4th?
There's no forum this week on the 4th because we didn't have any attendees or enough attendees from other communities. It was basically, one person from Colby, one person from Oakley, which is actually the city managers in those two places. So they switched your registration to Thursday to Garden City if you want to go. And they have an event, a little tour of some economic development occurring in Garden City, as well as a couple different Department of Commerce officials that will be available for a presentation and also to talk with. So it seemed like a better opportunity.
Can you send me the particulars on that, like time, place?
Yes,
Okay.
I did. And there's been a change in the fireworks law. Included that in the packet, but the local ordinance still applies. So our current dates, everything else still apply. It's only if we wanted to change that for any reason and just leave it as far as the local ordinance is. And even though this seller that uses the lot right next to Walmart. He had a presentation because he's going to be building a building on that lot to store his fireworks, and then have the rest of it available to rent out. He said he had no interest at this time regarding changing dates or anything. So there was nothing regarding that. Barb was able to get the pool open finally, and although now it's going to,
Leaves now.
But, and then the street guys are doing wonderful work as far as getting the sidewalk taken care of in front of the Art Center. They did run another project regarding the steps, and unfortunately, well, not fortunately, unfortunately, the library is listed on the National Register of Historic Places. There's another one that's the same type of name, the National Historic Register, whatever. But any project like that that deals with the building itself, it needs to go through the State Historic Preservation Office, SHPO, to get approval. And it may not get approval, and I don't know what we're going to do about the bricks at the very base of it. So it has to go through that. Did let the Arts Council folks know, and we'll see where we go.
Thanks, Ken, for your work on that. Appreciate it.
That's good.
Street guys are doing work. So,
Okay. Thank you, Kent. Appreciate that. Start with our commissioner reports. On my left, Commissioner Redmond.
Yeah, the pool was open. My mother-in-law had the chance to take my kids, and she just said it was amazing. She said it's a great pool, staff's friendly, so thank you, Barb, for everything, and yes, and yeah, just wanted to say, go enjoy our pool.
Thank you. Commissioner Howard?
I've only got one thing, and it has to do with the electric bikes and the little moped motorcycles that kids are riding around town. They've been riding down the main street on the sidewalks, and they're flying down the streets. I seen 3 of them today, and that needs to be addressed somehow. And the mopeds around town, that needs to be addressed because they're not street legal. We need to come up with something there. And then the walking trail around the pool, there's some kids that use that as a racetrack with the electric bikes, and that needs to be addressed in the future because there are some older people that walk over there, and something's bad is going to happen one of these days.
Okay.
That's the only thing I got.
Thank you, Commissioner Howard. Commissioner Myers.
Nothing at this time.
Commissioner Artser?
Nothing.
And I have nothing for the mayor's report, so I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second?
So moved. So moved.
So moved.
So moved. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Aye.